Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds, number 51. So this is where I like to collect together all the different music that I purchased over the past week and present it to you. And I get it from different places like my local record stores, but also online retail like Amazon, eBay, and more. For this past week, I've got 4 new music finds to go through with you, which breaks down as 1 brand new release, 1 reissue, 1 relatively new release that came out in 2021, but I didn't pick it up at the time, and 1 from eBay. But before we dive into that and what these are, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this, with New Music Finds, episode number 51, and these 4 items to go through. Now, a lot of you guys, have talked about how many new pieces of music I will buy. Sometimes it's 10 pieces, 15, 20 pieces, etc. It all kinds of depends. Today we only got 4, so it was kind of a small week for me, but I think I got some good stuff in here, and I'd like to go through it with you. So, this past Friday, February 4th, had 1 brand new release that I chose to pick up. Of course, there's always more that comes out, but the big one on everyone's mind was Saxon, Carpe Diem. This thing here is a monster. Really surprised me. Was more than I expected it to be. I had not put a lot of hope and faith in this thing, kind of really blowing me away. I mean, I knew it would be good. It's not that it wouldn't be good, but I just sort of expected it to kind of continue on with what they've been doing. And this one here, which is their 24th studio album of the new wave of British heavy metal legends, really kind of surprised me. And it's got a lot of peaks and valleys and interesting characteristic to it. So this one here I put on and I've actually played a lot, really enjoyed it. It is produced by Andy Sneap, who's worked with Judas Priest and Accept, and I think he provides this album with a really great sound on it. It's been 4 years since their last album of all new original material. They did put out Inspirations, the covers album, a year ago that was sort of to tide us over for this one here. But this one here, all original material, very good. A lot of classic elements on this thing. Really cool. Let me just show you. This is a good photo in the center of this thing, of these guys, that just is worth it. Sometimes you get band photos and stuff and you're kind of like, they're looking a little old or a little tired or whatever. But I think that photo there, they're just looking pretty cool on. So I was happy with that. And just the album art on this I thought was really cool. Kind of a throwback to Crusader, which was their 4th album and their debut in 1979. Good art on it. So maybe it's just kind of all those things coming together on this that just made it a little more than, your standard fare. All right, now the other sort of relatively new release that I didn't pick up when it originally came out is this. Lords of Black, Alchemy of Souls Part 2. It's from 2021, but I believe it's only been out for a few months. I think it just came out recently. This is their 5th studio album, follow-up to their 2020 album, which is the Part 1 to this. This is the Part 2, and they're a Spanish metal band that formed back in 2014 and is centered around Ronnie Romero, the vocalist, who of course has worked with the Ferrymen, which is a recent release that just came out. I did pick up Corleone. Of course, he also comes from Rainbow. He has played with Vandenberg and just numerous other bands. This guy's got his hands and so many cookie jars, so to speak. But this is his band. This is something that was not just created for him, but is his band. Now it's led by guitarist Tony Hernando, who really writes everything, produces everything. That's why I say it's led by him. It is obviously a group affair, but I would say this is really Tony Hernando's band. Ronnie Romero is in this thing. What's interesting is that former Halloween guitarist, current Master Plan guitarist and band that he's part of, Roland Grapow, he mixes and mastered this album, and I thought that was kind of interesting. He doesn't produce it. Tony Hernando produces it, but it is mixed and mastered by Roland Grapow. So very cool, though. I will take any involvement of him in something. I certainly like him. I like both when he was part of Halloween, and certainly I like his work with Master Plan. But just very interesting to have had that there, and worthy addition to this. Now, in the past, I've had a kind of a hard time getting into Lords of Black. It's a little different. It's still heavy, but it's not quite the Rainbow or the other projects that he's done, Ronnie Romero has done, that has been sort of branched off of Rainbow. So this is a little heavier, a little different, but I finally decided to go ahead and dig in a little bit and give it a try. Unfortunately, this is the only album that is either in print or available, or kind of however you want to think about it, that I could order. I actually listened to some stuff on YouTube. I was going to get part 1 of this album, Alchemy of Souls Part 1, wasn't available to get, so I went ahead and picked this up on it, and I'm not disappointed. This is good, but it is interesting. I'm having trouble digging up the other stuff. I'm going to have to look a little deeper and try some other websites and things of that nature, but Amazon at least doesn't look like their albums are at least available through them. So all right, next one, something completely different than Lords of Black and Saxon, the metal that stuff is this. Nas, Open Our Eyes, the anthology. It is a 2 CD set. It's been available before, so this thing was originally released back in 2002 and had this as the album art. And I don't know if it's been available before that, but this is it today. It was reissued in 2019. And as best as I can understand it, I think it's just been reissued in 2022. I saw it as a new release for 2022, went ahead and ordered it, had not seen this around before, when recently I was looking into the Nas because I had seen some of their stuff at those recent record store excursion videos that I've taken you guys on with me, and nothing was available by the Nas that I could get, which was problematic in and of itself. Then this popped up, so I kept an eye on it and I decided to go ahead and pick it up. But in doing some research on it through Wikipedia, looking at the credits on this, it says it was originally issued in 2002 by Sanctuary Records, which was purchased up through different parties, and I think it's changed hands a couple times, but then it says reissued in 2019 on Purple Pyramid, but I know now it is out on the Cleopatra label. So I think Cleopatra, which maybe owns Purple Pyramid, is now reissuing it themselves in 2022. Either way, if you're looking for some Nas, which is pretty hard to come by, this 2 CD anthology is out. It's got really good sound on it. Of course, the band features Todd Rundgren, guitarist and principal songwriter, who of course went on to do a lot of other things, maybe most notably for producing Bat Outta Hell, but also part of Utopia. I actually sort of found out more about, I knew of Todd Rundgren and solo work and whatnot, but when he actually fronted a new version of the Cars when Rick Ocasek didn't want to do it. So there was a group out called The New Cars that he fronted, and I really got behind him at that point and interested in what he was doing and so forth. Obviously, he's done so much other stuff, and a lot of you guys that grew up through the late 60s, 70s, and 80s are probably laughing at this because I know his stuff from the late 90s, early 2000s, and so forth. But anyways, Todd Rundgren, early project, the Nas, there you go. So I'm enjoying it. I like it. It's, and I was having that throwback to the 60s and stuff. So that will go into my collection. I'm kind of have moved off of that 60s era stuff, but I will, circle back to that. I make 360 degrees. I come back around to these things. So I've actually picked up a couple things recently that are still part of that 60s era stuff because it wasn't available or I didn't find it at that time, but I'm picking it up now and adding it into the collection, and I'll just come right back around to it. All right, now the final thing that I picked up was actually off of eBay. So you'd seen I'd made a, if you like AC/DC video, check out these 5 bands. And one of the ones that I mentioned that was not one of the 5, but I wanted to point them out was Rose Tattoo. And I sort of got off on a tangent of listening to AC/DC style bands, ones that are either influenced or even had a hand in relation to AC/DC and stuff like that. And so early band that Angry Anderson, the lead vocalist of Rose Tattoo, was in Buster Brown, which also had Phil Rudd, who goes on to AC/DC. Long story short, picked me up some new Rose Tattoo because I didn't have these earlier albums. I had their 4th and 5th album, but this one here is actually the 3rd studio album, and I think this was actually the original album cover to it. Not sure where this one comes from. Didn't care for that one. Actually really glad to see this one. So this one is out on Captain Oi Records, and they do a nice job on this, and so just picked it up through eBay. Not available regularly, but certainly something you can still get out there. And it seems like, though, the first album, second album, very hard to come by. Anyways, just trying to show you there's some write-up and lyrics and things of that nature, and also some good images of just, single work and stuff like that for it. But third studio album, known for having Angry Anderson in the lineup, as I mentioned. They're an Australian band, formed back in 1976, but if you don't know Rose Tattoo, I mean, kind of their biggest claim to fame, at least in the US, is that Guns N' Roses covered their song Nice Boys on the 1986 Live Like a Suicide EP, which would later be reissued in 1988 on the album Lies. So a lot of people, including myself, only ever knew the song Nice Boys, which is what directed me to Rose Tattoo, and then I just found out what a great, amazing band they are. And I've had a Greatest Hits, and I've had Southern Stars, and one other one, Beats of a Different Drum or something like that. So as I said, their fourth and fifth album, but glad to be able to finally get a hold of this and listen to some real classic 1982 era Rose Tattoo. And so there you go. That is 4 new music finds for me as part of episode number 51. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And I didn't mention, but I've done a full review of the brand new Saxon Carpe Diem. I'm going to leave a link in the description to that if you want to check it out. And certainly if you've enjoyed this video, consider sharing it out on social media. Help spread the word that way. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye-bye, everyone.